Welcome back to another amazing video from Ape Recaps. Today, we will recap an American biographical comedy drama film called Charlie Wilson's War from 2007. The movie opens with Charlie Wilson getting the highest recognition award due to his services in the war against the Soviets. The scene shifts to April 1986, where we see Charlie Wilson sitting with Crystal and Paul, who was his coworker in Las Vegas, in a pool with two strippers with them. Crystal asks Paul to convince him of his donation in her TV show, which was the reason why Paul was having arranged this all for Charlie. But Charlie, instead of listening to them, carefully keeps watching the television. He watches the news anchors who were in Afghanistan and tells people how miserable they are and that they need weapons to fight against the Soviet army. He leaves from there and asks them to drop him off at the airport. On the way, Charlie tells them that he has a vote in the morning and that he cannot stay with them. At the airport, he denies the donation and, after greeting them all, leaves there. In the morning, we see Charlie with his assistant Bonnie, who tells him that a man named Larry has been waiting to talk to him about the creche. Later, another man comes to him and tells him that he has been sent to him to talk about John Martha, about which he tells him that she is clean and will have no issues. The man tells him that Tip has selected him for the ethics committee, and he makes fun of him, telling him that he should not be on the ethics committee because he likes chasing women and whiskey. After that, he reads the news, and the scene shifts to his office, where Larry, with his daughter Jane, is waiting for him. Larry watches only women working in his office, and asks them why only women are working. They tell him that Mr. Wilson has his expression of this. After that, Charles comes and is introduced by Larry to his daughter Jane. Charlie excuses himself from Jane and takes Larry inside his office, where they talk about the creche issue. During their argument, Bonnie comes and gives him a letter, and on going outside, Charlie meets a man named Jim. Charlie then asks him about the news the night before and asks the amount of funds for Afghanistan. Jim tells him that the fund is $5 million. Charlie finds this too little, as compared to the Soviet helicopters, and asks him to arrange the meeting after doubling the budget for Afghanistan. At night, we see Jane with Charles at his place. Charles then receives a call from his friend Joanne. She keeps talking to him about what he asked Jim to do. He tells her that it was meant to be a secret, and Joanne ends the call by telling him that her friend has made a movie on America's role in Afghanistan. She asks him to come there to watch the movie with her. The scene shifts, and we see Gus and Clavely arguing with each other. They were set up together by a person named Claire George, who tells them both that the other will apologize to them. Clavely tells him that he is not going to apologize, as he has broken his window. Gus gets angry at him for giving a task to someone else which was assigned to him. He tells him that he needed a diplomatic person for the job, but he was lacking the abilities. Gus then counts his services and leaves his office by again breaking his window. After that, we see Gus with a man on the mess, where he tells him that Clavely has been appointed as a curse for him, and tells him how he has given his job to someone else, leaving him free. The man asks him if he is free, and on being asked, he tells him that he is working on killing some Russians. Charlie can be seen there at the party at which he was called to by Joanne. He meets Joanne there, who asks his assistant to get her a drink, and from her behavior, realizes that she does not like her. Joanne then takes Charles with her and asks him about the movie. Charles tells her that he has no experience in that field. Joanne talks to him about the situation in Afghanistan and asks him about the budget of the authorities under him. She tells him that he can change the fate of the people of Afghanistan. She takes him to her bedroom, where she tells him about the situation in Afghanistan and that the weapons that are given by America are not sufficient for Afghans to face the Soviet army. She tells him that they decided to give F-16s to Pakistan, but they did not give them radars. She tells him that she has arranged a meeting for him with the president of Pakistan. She asks him to go there and meet with him, and after that, he will go to meet Zvi from Israel to discuss further. Charles tells her that he will do it for her. The scene shifts, and we see a helicopter attacking the innocent people of Afghanistan. Charles arrives in Islamabad, Pakistan, and there he meets Zia-ul-Haq, the president of Pakistan. He introduces him to General Rashid and Mahmoud. They have a discussion about the situation in Pakistan due to Afghans. They tell him that the weapons they have are of no use, and they did not take planes from them as they declined to give radars to them. They also add that hundreds of Afghans are killed and the surviving ones have settled in the northern frontier province of Pakistan. They ask him to give them money, weapons, and food instead of courtesy. Before leaving, Zia-ul-Haq tells Charlie that he knew about his arrival. He has read about him, and he has many character flaws, but he has the quality of standing by his words. Zia-ul-Haq asks him to visit the refugee camp once before leaving. Charlie takes Bonnie with him and tells her that they are going to the camp. Charlie reaches the camp and sees the Afghans in a very miserable condition, fighting over food. The children were harmed by the Soviet armies, and every man there has his own story. He walks out of the camp and looks at the camp sadly. Charlie and Bonnie then go to the U.S. Embassy in Pakistan and meet the man in charge, named Houston. Charlie asks him to give a short briefing on the situation in Afghanistan as he has very little time before his flight. He tells them that the Soviet army has taken control of almost all of the ministries and important areas of the country. Charlie then asks him about what kind of weapons they need for attacking the helicopters. Houston tells him that he cannot help, as the sudden increase in the funds and weapons can lead to war. Then we see Charlie sitting in the aeroplane, where he tells Bonnie about his neighbor who killed his dog, and he took revenge by making him lose the re-election of the council committee with the help of black people in the community. He asks Bonnie to arrange his meeting with the CIA deputy director as he lands. Otherwise, he will give them huge pay cuts. Meanwhile, we see Gus working on the Afghanistan project, and he comes to know that they received their aid, which is carried by the mules. He makes fun of them and tells them that even mules are being treated better than Afghanis, which is disappointing. Then a man tells Gus to meet Charlie. Gus goes to Charlie's office, and as he arrives there, he gets angry at Bonnie, telling her that he asked for the deputy or less, and Gus tells him that he is working on the Afghanistan desk. Gus presents him with a bottle of scotch as a gift, and he takes Gus inside his office. There he tells Gus that he has just returned from Pakistan and has seen the situation of Afghans there. Gus makes fun of his increase of $5 million to the funds. Charlie tells him that he has met Harold Holt there, and he has told him that he does not need anything as it can lead to war. Gus tells him that Harold does not want to kill Russians for their acts, and he will lead them to their deaths. Charlie asks Gus to go out and then realizes that he has been under a case of using cocaine, and he asks them to write the statement and refer it to Stu. Gus comes back and Charlie tells him that he knows the Soviet helicopter, and he asks Gus how much budget will be needed to hunt them down. He tells him that he knows about Ehrlichins, and that if they get them to Afghans, they can fight the Soviet army. Charlie asks Gus to go out again and receives a call from Stu. Gus comes back and tells him that he has bugged his scotch bottle and knows that he has been arrested. Charlie tells him that he has not been arrested and asks him what kind of weapons they need to hunt the Soviet helicopter. He tells Mike that he can guide them about weapons. They immediately go to Mike, who is playing chess there, and he guides them about what they need. He tells Charlie that he has prepared his whole report that no one has ever tried to check. After that, Charlie asks Gus to give him 1 week so that he can get things ready. Next, we see Gus and Charlie sitting with Zvi. They ask him to help them to support Afghans, but he says that Pakistan and Afghanistan have not yet recognized their rights to exist, considering them the reason behind murder attempts on him and his family. He comes to know about Charlie's case through Gus and finally agrees to help them. They tell Zvi that he will come with them to Cairo to talk to the deputy, while they will get the defense minister busy with a belly dancer. The scene shifts to Cairo, where we see a beautiful belly dancer who attracts the attention of the defense minister while they make a deal with the deputy. They ask him to give them all of the required weapons from the Soviet weapons collection. After that, we see Gus and Charlie on the plane, where Gus asks Charlie to stop Joanne from involving religion in this matter and appreciates him for doing the same. We see Charlie and Zia-ul-Haq in Houston, where Charlie tells him about the aid from Israel. Zia-ul-Haq asks him to keep it a secret from the media, and Charlie assures him about everything that he demands. After the party, we see Joanne meet with Charles and ask her to stop involving religion in this matter, and tells her that this can destroy everything as Pakistan, Egypt, Afghanistan, and Israel are all involved in this. She assures him that she will stop, and they leave together. Next, we see Charlie going to Doc Long and asking him for help to increase the budget from $10 million to $49 million. And he tells him that he cannot understand that he is going to give this much amount into the hands of the Afghans. Charlie asks him to visit that place for once and he can decide later. Charlie calls Joanne and asks her for a favor to help Doc Long as he is a churchman and she tells him not to worry about him. Charles then receives details about his case when Joanne calls her and asks him to be ready tomorrow, congratulating him and saying that he is about to reach his goal. She tells him that there is a blind girl in jail in Pakistan. He will have to get her out, and then they will leave for the camp. Charles then announces his visit to Pakistan and arranges a party in the evening. Charles was giving a party with Gus, Joanne, and his office girls when he receives a call from Stu, who tells him that he is free, and Charlie gets very excited about this. He asks them to get ready, as it was the most important trip of their life. We see Charlie, Gus, and Joanne in camp, and Doc Long was also present there with them. He comes closer to Charlie and tells him that it was an awesome experience for him. Joanne asks him to talk to the people. Doc Long addresses the people, telling them about his death, who died fighting the Soviets, and he ensures Afghans that he will help them. Then we see Charlie listening to the news about the success of the Soviets in Afghanistan, and the reporter tells us that Afghans are just waiting for modern weapons. He goes to talk to the Afghan people, who tell him that they don't need food and rice now, they just need weapons. Charlie meets Gus, who tells him about the Milan, an anti-tank weapon, and tells Charlie that without it, Afghans cannot win this battle. Charlie goes to Doc Long and manages to increase the budget up to $70 million. They prepare the Milans, and Mike tells them that they have 300 Milans ready. 3 helicopters can be seen killing innocent people, but they are knocked down by 3 Afghans with the help of the Milans. Bonnie brings a message from Gus to Charlie, telling him that they have shot 3 Soviet helicopters down. Charlie gets very happy and hugs Bonnie. After that, we see the achievements of the Afghans and how in a short period they managed to damage the Soviet army a lot. In a briefing, Gus says that they are doing pretty well. Charlie requests in a meeting to increase the budget up to $250 million by calculating the damage they are causing. They all laugh at him when he tells them that it all started with $5 million. At night, he calls Joanne and asks her about her honeymoon. He tells her that he has increased the fund up to $500 million, and she congratulates him and tells him that she's missing him before disconnecting the call. Next, we see Charlie at a party where he receives a call from Gus, who tells him that Doc Long is gone, but he tells Gus that he has everything under control. Charlie goes to the Afghans and celebrates their victory with them. Charlie is seen at a party with Joanne where he celebrates his success by watching the news, saying that the last troop of the Soviet army has left Afghanistan. Charlie goes outside to meet Gus, who tells him that he must work on the betterment of Afghans as the weapons can be dangerous for them, by telling him the story of Master Zen and a boy. Charlie is seen in a meeting where he tells the authorities that he wants to build schools in Afghanistan, as most of its population is young and they can be misled easily. But they tell him that they don't care about a school in Afghanistan or Pakistan. The scene shifts to the start of the movie where Charlie receives a reward by looking at his friends, and the movie ends here. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, and turn on notifications for our next video. Take care and see you next time.